Hey there YouTubers, it's Leo Alderpold. Coming at you from a field. I wanted to make this video for a little while, and today seemed like a good time. I'll just get the housekeeping out the way. I'm smoking in this beautiful new Zulu by Parker that I got in a trade a couple of days ago. Really nice pipe, lovely broad shank on it, broad and flat, and look at the thickness of the walls. Fantastic, but very light. And I'm just smoking some of this stuff. Richmond Navy Cut. This is a year old. I bought this last year and I only just cracked the tin the other day. Very good stuff. But I wanted to talk a little bit about my favourite plant family. We've gotten to the time of year where things are happening in the ground, and the first of the spring plants are making an appearance, which is great. It's always very heartening to see after a cold and miserable, bleak winter. You get the first fronds of life appearing from the ground. And there's a few plants in particular that crop up at this time of year, and they're always amongst the first that you see. And they belong to a family which was probably the first family I ever familiarised myself with, and with good reason. Because it's a family of plants called the Apiaceae, that used to be called the Umbelliferae, but for some reason the taxonomists, strange people that they are, decided to change the name of the family from something which was very descriptive, Umbelliferae, which describes the shape of the flower and the flower heads, to something absolutely not descriptive at all, the Apiaceae. No idea why they did that. Stupid people. Anyway, it's an important plant family for a couple of reasons. It actually contains some of the most common food plants that we find, so and herbs as well. So it contains things like carrots, parsnips, fennel, and herbs like parsley, dill, coriander. They're all parts of the same family. But it also contains some of the most deadly plants, and certainly the most deadly plant that we have here in Britain. And the interesting thing is that it can be very difficult, even when you're quite knowledgeable, to be able to distinguish the difference at first glance between some of these plants. So you've got some quite important wild food plants growing directly next to some very deadly plants, and superficially they can look pretty similar, and I'll show you. Now, this one here is a plant we call cow parsley. Can't remember the botanical name. Anthriscus sylvestris, that's it. Anthriscus sylvestris. Now this is one of the first things that you'll start to see growing this time of year, in the hedge banks and hedgerows and along roadsides and things like that. It's quite a tasty food plant. It's quite a good edible. They tend to be quite fragrant, some of these plants from this family, and this is no exception. It's got quite a floral taste to it. It's very nice. And another one, which you find growing in exactly the same location, is this one here, which we call hogweed. Now, it's got these beautiful fat nodes on it, these leaf sheaths, and you can actually steam these. And actually just the little fronds like that, lightly steamed, very, very tasty indeed. But you'll see now, this also is very strikingly similar to this guy right here. And again, you'll find this guy growing right next to this one, and right next to this one too. Now this is the most deadly plant that we have in the UK, and it's called the Hemlock water dropwort, and Oenanthe crocata, to give it its botanical name. Now this stuff is so poisonous that a small amount of it will kill you in a very unpleasant way. But actually, some years ago, I was doing a course on studying this particular plant family, and we'd been out, collected specimens from around the place of all these different plants from the family, and we'd gotten back to this classroom, and it was a very, very hot day, and there were loads of these plants dotted around the classroom, and in the heat, the actual smell of these plants got to all of us so much that some of us had to go outside because we felt really quite nauseous. So it can make you sick just smelling it, basically. So it's pretty nasty stuff. And actually, this is reputedly the plant that Socrates was sentenced to drink a concoction of when he was executed. And the way it kills you is particularly unpleasant as well, because it paralyses your respiratory system, and pretty much works from your feet up, slowly paralysing everything. So the last thing to go is your brain, which means you're conscious of everything that's happening to you at the time, which isn't very pleasant, really. Now, in history, this was also given to old people, or people who didn't fulfill a great role in society anymore. Maybe they'd become disabled, or they'd gotten too old to contribute to society. And in Sardinia, where this particular practice was quite common, they were given this stuff to drink and basically bump off the old folks. And it's actually where we get the term sardonic grin from. Sardonic comes from Sardinia, and it's because as this stuff kills you, it can put you into spasm. So a lot of the victims would go like that. And that's where we get the term sardonic grin, all because of this plant right here. It's responsible for most cases of poisoning by people out foraging, because the roots of it as well they call it dead man's fingers, and the roots of it are like or a bunch rather I should say, of thick white tubers that look and apparently taste quite good, and they have been mistaken for water parsnip in the past, and you know, with fatal consequences. Very interesting, but very deadly plant. So there you go. A little tour of a couple of members of my favourite plant family. As I said, you'll be familiar with the family yourself if you eat carrots or parsnips or fennel. But it shows how you know what how you've got to know what you're doing when you go out foraging for these things. Fantastic stuff. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. Glad you could join me out here in a field underneath this fine field oak tree that I'm standing under here. You can see a big branch has come off it there, but it's a fine tree nonetheless. I'll catch you folks next time. You have a great day. Take care.